Hello, 8th grade. These are your notes for To Kill a Mockingbird, chapters 20 and 21. For summary for chapter 20, we begin with Dill and Scout judge Mr. Raymond innocent. Okay, the whole community has their opinion on how he lives with black people. They don't like it. He's trying to give them an excuse to hate him by drinking out of a paper bag. Everyone thinks it's liquor, but in fact it isn't. Okay, so they render a verdict after meeting him, talking to him. They judge him innocent. Okay, so notice the judge is in quotation marks. It's not a real judging. We see Atticus's closing remarks. One of the important points he makes, it's your next point, all men not equal in ability, but they should be equal under the law. So not all the same intellect, not all the same opportunities, but in a court of law, they should be equal. Okay. Very last point for chapter 20, Jem is confident of a win. And he's telling that to Reverend Sykes. He's excited. In chapter 20, we have waiting for the verdict. The kids get kind of discovered by Atticus because Aunt Alexandra is freaking out. So in the meantime, he sends them home for dinner. They eat. They come back. By the time they get back, it's about 8 o'clock. It's after 11 at night before the verdict is reached. So everyone is waiting. The jury is out several hours. That's your next point. Jury out several hours. Tom is found guilty. The very last point you'll have for chapter 21, the black community stands to honor Atticus. They acknowledge the fact he fought as hard as he could. Atticus knew it was going to be a losing battle, but still gave it everything he could. Okay, some important quotes that we're going to see. On page 201, Atticus says cheating a colored is 10 times worse. In parentheses, you're going to put background. So here, this is again the unequal opportunity. Could a black person get a fair hearing in law if they have been cheated? Well, we just find out no, they're not going to get a fair trial. So if you are cheating them knowing they can't get justice, that is even worse. On page 203, the case is as simple as black and white. We have a double meaning. Okay, literally, he's talking about skin, black and white. Okay, but figuratively, that phrase, it's an idiom, something culturally we know. If it's as clear as black and white, it should be very visible and easily read or understood. Okay, so we have a double meaning with the cases as simple as black and white, talking about race, talking about being able to see it clearly. Page 208, I ain't never seen any jury decide in favor of colored over white. So here we see a prejudice, very clearly the fact that a white jury won't side with a black person, and it's this Southern code again. The idea that you're going to stick with your own kind regardless of whether it's right or wrong. Notes on themes and motif, page 200. Secrets. Things are not always as they appear. We've said several things aren't quite exactly like they seem. We find out Mr. Raymond drinks cola. It seems like he's drinking whiskey, but in fact it isn't. So there's a secret. Okay. In page 203, Mayella broke a Southern code and cannot admit it or she will be outcast. What would the consequence be of her doing what she did? This was one of the questions on your study guide. We already know her father did beat her. He could kick her out. Would she be able to survive? Would she be able to make a living? Well, we already found out Tom's wife can't make a living just because of these accusations. If she breaks this big of a Southern code, she has nothing and nowhere to go. Okay. On page 204, why the Ewells assumed their word would be taken over a black person's. This again goes back to the Southern code and the prejudice. Us versus them, you stick with your own kind, and the fact that a jury would believe what a person says purely based on the color of their skin. This prejudice we see. Page 210 to 211, Scout dreams of the mad dog. She's asleep waiting for the verdict, and she's thinking back to that idea of the mad dog. She awakes to Atticus returning to court with an empty rifle. There's no ammunition. He can't stop the crazy dog this time. Okay? When it was a real dog, he could stop it. But here in this court, even though he has these eloquent words, even though he has the truth on his side, because of these codes, because of the prejudice, he has no ammunition. This time, he won't win. And that's what we see with the guilty verdict. And as I said when we did Google Meets, for those who were there, it broke my heart. Because I was just like Jem, and I kept hoping against hope they were going to do the right thing, and they didn't. Okay, you have also for today 2 new vocab words. I'm going to try and not make y'all dizzy. They are both adjectives. Our first one is cynical. It means you are scornful of motives. Scornful of motives. You are suspicious of them. You don't think they're doing it for the right reason. Another adjective, furtive, means secret. We see a lot of secrets in this. When you're trying to hide it, you're being furtive. Okay? With that, have a great Monday.